So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are officially going to be building our very fucking first AI system. This is going to be a real AI automation, not anything tiny or small or modular like the one that we just did, but this is going to be your first real world AI automation system that you can literally, by the way, sell this exact thing that I'm going to show you guys to any fucking person that wants to scrape and target and sell something to a bunch of local businesses in any area. This system that I'm going to show you guys right now is worth $4,000. I have sold this exact same thing at least 7 times for $4,000, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how it works and how to put it together. This is as real as it fucking gets, Miles. I need you to open up your brain for this one because now we're going to be doing a real deep dive, and I'm going to try to explain it the best way that I can and walk through it step by step so that way you're not confused and nobody watching this is confused, and you guys can just copy me and do everything that we're doing right now. But I need you to have your fucking brain open for this one because we are about to actually deep dive.
Let's get it.
Now here's what this thing does, Miles, right? By the way, you've seen this for the first time. If you've never seen anything like this, this is going to be absolutely fucking crazy, but it can literally do this in minutes. Every single thing I'm about to tell you, it's going to be able to do it in minutes. You guys are going to watch it do it. So basically, you give it any specific city, right? Let's just say you live in New Mexico and you're like, you know what? I want to work with New Mexico and I want to find every single plumber in New Mexico. So you give it a city and you give it the type of business you want, right? Let's just say you want plumbers. What it's going to do then is it's going to literally scrape every single plumber inside of the city that you give it, and it's going to get all of their information. It's going to get their website, their address, their contact information, anything around them. Literally, it's going to scrape so much information about them, and it's going to dump it all into a Google Sheet for you. And if that's not enough, it's going to find out the emails of literally every person that works in that local business. Then it's going to go to their website, and it's going to deeply analyze everything that's in their website and come back to you and write a custom personalized outreach message to them, basically as if somebody had looked at their website, analyzed it, and found specific things to talk about and wrote to them literally using their person's first name because obviously we know their emails. Just as if somebody had did their homework, and then it's going to dump that message that it wrote inside of the same Google Sheet right next to the row where their information lives, and it's going to let you send out that email with one click. Ladies and gentlemen, if you were to have to do this the traditional manual way and you had a product to sell, you would have to find out all of that information. You would have to go to Google, search for plumbing businesses or whatever, and then one by one take a look at all of the names and then dig into each name, find their address, find their phone number, find their contact information, then open up their website, scroll through all the tabs and read every single tab, and then figure out what to say. It would take you literally at least 30 to 45 minutes to do one business. And what I'm about to show you how to do is you're literally going to be able to do like 15 of them by the same 30 minutes that it would have taken you to do one of them. This is something that a lot of people fucking care about and a lot of people would pay a lot of money for because it makes selling easier, it makes outreach easier, and it personalizes the messages that go out to them so that way they don't feel like they came from a bot. It feels like somebody actually did the work and took the time out of their week to do all of this and write them a message. So this is literally why it's so powerful, right? It is like a fucking outreach AI system that is on steroids. And again, I sold this specific system for $4,000 several times to people here that were selling stuff to local businesses. So technically at this point, you don't even have to use it for selling voice AI. You can sell the actual system itself that I'm about to show you guys. It's that valuable. So let me show you what it looks like, okay? This is what it looks like. If you're just now seeing an AI automation for the first time, this might look a little bit too much, might look a little bit confusing, but trust me, this is not half as complicated as it looks because I'm going to walk Miles through how to do this. I'm going to walk you guys through how to build this. But let me just explain to you what is happening inside of this. So I want you to imagine a split happening between these, okay? We're going to focus on the first part, which is right here. Let me show you what's happening in each of these, right? The first one is we're going to be using something called Amplify, which is how we're going to be doing the scraping. And I'm going to walk you guys through what that is and how to actually use it literally in about a minute. But what this first module does is it scrapes Google Maps for all of the publicly available information. And then we're going to extract all of that scraped information in this next module. And then we're going to throw that all inside of a Google Sheet, obviously with this Google Sheet module. And then we're going to be using a service called Email Finder only if a website exists. This is a filter that says only if a website exists, I want you to pass through the filter. So we're going to be using Email Finder. This is how we're going to be finding the emails of every single person that works in that business. This is the very first leg of this AI automation that I'm showing you right now. Now, under that, we're going to look at these 3 little rows right here. I'm going to explain to you the difference between them, okay? This is these 3 rows spread out. If we look at the first one, If somebody's email exists, let's just say we did a search for that company's domain and we found no emails, then it would not be using that first one. This is only going to work if a person's first name is found within their email. For example, when I created my Anmar at openstepai.com, obviously I used my name in the beginning because that's the identifier, and a lot of people are going to be using their names. So the AI is going to look at the email and then figure out that because this thing before the at is a first name, that is most likely that person's name. So then the AI is going to direct its message directly to the person's first name. That's what that first row does right here. The second one under it is if an email exists, but a first name is not found in it. Take, for example, tech@blah-blah-blah.com. This is not somebody's first name. Maybe it's their support email. Maybe it's some sort of a general email that, people want to email to if you want to get a reach of the company. It doesn't have somebody's first name. So what's going to happen is the AI is going to direct the message to the team. Okay? It's not going to write directly to that person because it doesn't know their first name. That's going to be that second row that you guys are seeing right here. And then the first one is if no email exists at all. If we did a search and we found no emails under that domain, what's going to happen is the AI is still going to write to the team, but this message is going to be something that we're going to be manually using if they have some sort of form or contact form inside of their website. We're not going to be able to just send it to their email directly because they don't have an email. So at least we're going to be able to have a message that we can use and send if we wanted to send it manually. That is what the third row right here does. And technically, we don't even need this third row because we can filter it so that way we only target people that have websites and emails, which is probably what we're going to be doing. So I'm probably going to make this a little bit easier for emails. We're not even going to use this one right here just to make life way simpler. Plus, we only care really about businesses that have a website and have emails. That's going to be our direct method to contacting them. Now, let me break down what the rows modules actually do. For the most part, by the way, these are pretty much the same, minus little tiny differences between them. This is what happens, right? This module right here, what it does is it goes to their website. It will literally visit their website and it will pull all of the HTML. What that means is all of the code behind the website that contains the information and the text that belongs on the website. This is just basically the raw information that they have on their website. And then we're going to be able to take this HTML that has all of that content, everything that they put on their website, and then we're going to clean it up so that way it doesn't look like code. So that way we can get a text version of it. That's what this text parser module right here is going to do. And then on this third one, what we're doing is we are putting down a service description for what our product is and what our service is. The reason why is because we want the AI to know exactly what we do and why we do it and how we do it in order to create that personalized message for them. If it knows nothing about us and what we do and like why it needs to write this message, obviously it's not going to be able to write a personalized message, and we want that message to sell them on the voice AI. So we're going to have to basically create a service description for us. We're going to say, hey, we are OpenStep AI. We sell voice AIs. We automate this. We streamline this. We save people this. This is going to be a big description of us. This is going to be used later by one of the AIs. And then look at this next module right here. This is called the company name shortener. If the company's name is super long, think about like Johnson & Johnson, Meta, blah, 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 LLC, right? That's a huge name. We don't want to refer to them in that huge name when we're writing to them. So we might say something like, hey, Johnson & Johnson. That's just something that shortens the company name so that way it doesn't look like a bot wrote it, right? It looks like a person actually looked at the name and shortened it. And then the next GPT module right here, the next AI inside of our employee assembly line is going to be analyzing the actual contents website, and it's going to be analyzing our services right here. So it's going to look at both. It's going to look at their website content, and then it's going to compare our service description, and then it's going to figure out what is the best thing that I can talk about that not only relates to the service, but relates to the thing that these businesses care about the most based on what I pulled from their website. That writes a message that hits things about them that it understood from their website and why our service even makes sense to them in the first place. Okay, it's going to be writing a draft right here. And then what happens is it's going to send it to another AI in this assembly line. And this guy is going to finalize and optimize it, and it's gonna proofread this draft. So this guy's just basically writing the first version of it, and this guy's finalizing it and making it sound way better, and then it's gonna dump it inside of our Google Sheet right next to the row where their information belongs. So you guys can see this is all gonna be happening literally in probably about a minute. But what's happening inside of it is you have 3 different AIs in this assembly line, each designated and designed to do a specific job. This one analyzes everything in their website and our services and writes a draft, and this guy is gonna clean it up and finalize it. Think about it like literally literally two different teammates working together to make sure that the final message that comes out is actually something that's usable and readable. Basically, the entire row right here of what's happening. Mind you, the only differences between these is that personalization AI right here, which is going to write that personalized message. It's going to know, okay, am I targeting somebody's first name? Am I targeting the company name? Or am I don't have any information to write on? That's the only difference really between these. Otherwise, everything is going to be pretty much the same between all these three different rows. And again, the only variance is because some emails are going to have people's first names in it. Some emails are just going to be generic emails, and we want to treat those a little bit differently based on what they are. So here's basically the roadmap for what we're going to be doing, right? We're going to be scraping Google Maps. We're going to be finding emails. We're going to be storing data. We're going to be sending it to AI for a bunch of analysis. We're going to generate emails, and then we're going to send them, okay? That's going to be basically step-by-step what we're going to be doing from the beginning. Now, I'm going to explain to you guys each platform that we're going to be using to do this and what's the cost attached to them. So the very first one, we're going to be doing the scraping. This is going to be Appify. And if you've never heard of Appify, it is one of the most insane tools that a lot of people have no fucking even idea that it exists outside of the AI automation world or the developer world. But this lets you scrape any kind of platform that you want for basically anything you want in it. Say, for example, you wanted to build an AI automation that watches a bunch of TikToks that are posted on a specific profile and pulls all the information for that, right? Let's just say you're doing competitor analysis and there's somebody that's posting 70 TikToks a day and you want your AI to look at all 70 TikToks and do a bunch of analysis and find out things for you so that way you can use that shit to sell whatever you're selling way better. You have TikTok Scraper, right? You have Google Maps Scraper, which is going to be what we are using, right? This is how we're going to be extracting a bunch of information from Google Maps. And then you have Instagram scrapers, right? You can scrape Instagram, the actual posts, the profiles, the comments, the engagement, every single thing about it. And you can do that on a huge number of applications, right? You can scrape websites, you can scrape Amazon. So every single one of these is used in some sort of AI system. And you guys can see, like, if you're dealing with somebody that deals with Amazon FBA and you want to sell to them an AI system that involves some sort of scraping, you can use these Amazon scrapers that live inside of Appify. You can see there's 19,000 plus scrapers available. These are created by developers and published in here for the world to use. Again, very fucking powerful tool, and a lot of people have no idea this even exists, but we're going to be using this and we're going to tie it to our AI system, which is how we're going to be able to quickly pull all of the information for a bunch of local businesses without having to do it ourselves manually. And by the way, each scraper is called an actor. That's why you see the term actors right here. So every single one of these is going to be referred to as an actor. And the cost to using Appify is going to be completely free up until $5. And I'm going to show you guys how they do their pricing once we actually start using the actor. But basically, you're going to have $5 worth of scrapes and you get 1,000 results for literally cents. So this $5 is going to take us a long way up until it gets used before we even have to fill up anything inside of Appify. Now, the next thing we have to use, how we're going to be actually finding the emails that belong to those businesses. And we're going to be using something called an email finder. Now, what an email finder does is it finds real email addresses that belong to a business and it verifies them in real time. And if it can't verify them, it'll just give you that email without even charging you. And it has a 97% delivery guarantee. A lot of people in the industry use this to pull emails and do some sort of personalized outreach using these people's emails right to them. So again, very, very powerful tool. And we're also going to be using it through their API. Now, the pricing for this is they're going to give you a 3-day trial where they're going to give you 100 free credits for free. We're probably going to take advantage of this and just cut it off at that limit right now, because I don't think we're going to probably need to talk to more than 100 businesses to get this. So we're going to start a free trial for 3 days. And if we wanted to keep it, the monthly for this is you're going to be able to get 50 credits per month at $14. And if you wanted to up that to 100, that's going to be $50 a month. Basically, each credit is an email found. So basically, you're able to find and target 50 personalized emails for $14 a month. That's what this credit system looks like. Every single credit is one email that it finds and it gives you. So the cost for this is going to be free for the 3 days trial that we're going to be using it, and then $14 for 50 emails. I don't think we're going to be doing any more than that, to be honest. Now, at this step, after we find their emails, we're going to be storing a bunch of information somewhere. And the place that we're going to be storing this information is going to be Google Sheets. Obviously, you don't have to pay to use Google Sheets. It is completely free, so you don't have to pay anything for storing that data and just keeping it for later use. And the next step is going to be our AI website analysis. This is exactly what we set up earlier with ChatGPT, and all you have to do is basically get an API key, right? So we're going to be using ChatGPT to analyze the websites, extract information, and custom personalizations. And this is going to be based on tokens. And I already showed you guys what the pricing for the tokens looks like, and we actually ended up connecting our first ChatGPT module already if you've been watching, so you already understand this process right here. And then also we're going to be using ChatGPT to direct that custom personalization right back to them. This is nothing different, literally the same as below. And finally, we are going to be sending those out to them. We're going to be using Gmail, and obviously this one is going to be not totally free actually, because we're going to be paying for our professional email, which is $8.40, right? So we're using that email that is tied to our professional website, our professional domain. And if you're using that email, you're on their Google Workspace plan, which is $8.40 per user. So our total is going to be $27.40 for 150 personalized offer sends. Obviously, I'm taking in the fact that we have some sort of free trial, which is up until $5 for Appify and 3 days or 100 credits for any mail finder. So technically, this is the high end of that price. You can actually take the 14 and the 5 out of this price, and that's really technically your actual real price. But I just took the worst case scenario and said, you know what, let's just say we're paying $14 for those 50 emails and we're paying the $5. That would be all in all total of $27.40 for 150 personalized offers sent all through the AI system. Now, here's one of the most beautiful parts about AI automations that you build on top of n8n or Make is that they are not only shareable, but they are fully exportable. Meaning you build a system, you can actually export the entire configuration for that system and send it to somebody and sell it to them. So with the thing that I'm going to show you guys right now, I just sent the entire system to Miles, and I'm going to show him how to completely load it in, which means I'm also going to be giving you guys this exact system completely for free. You don't have to do shit but just download it and load it inside of your make.com scenario when you're watching this. Now, obviously, do I want you to cheat and do that? Probably not. I want you guys to learn how to do this, because learning how it gets built and all the things that go into building it is so much more valuable than just loading it. So we're still going to be building it from scratch, but I'm going to give this system file to Miles and I'm going to walk him through how to load it up inside of his Make. So that way, when you guys get that system downloaded from me, you're going to know how to load it up and actually just configure it. And by the way, all of these settings within the system are also copyable when you import it inside of your Make. So when you load up the system, you get all of the settings that I put inside of it, including the system prompts and everything else comes with it. Literally every single thing besides the connections. All you have to do at that point is just connect it to your account and that's it. So right now, Miles is driving. Okay, this is not my screen being shared. This is his. So I'm going to walk him through everything. I just shared with him that file for the AI system. That's what you guys are looking at right now. It's a .json file. If you just open it up very quickly, Miles, let me show you what it looks like on the inside. This is the actual system that you guys are building. Now, mind you, if you were not using something like Make or something like n8n, you would have to be a developer and a coder to know how to put this thing together. And what this is the entire configuration file for all the configurations for everything inside of Make. So just briefly scroll down, Miles, and show people how long this actual system is. I mean, it's literally huge. There is so much configuration inside of this, and all of this is something that you guys would have had to know how to do on your own before Make.com existed, before n8n existed, before all these AI coding models existed. All of this is what developers used to have to do manually on their own. But right now, because we can do it through these no-code automations, we can build them and then export the actual file for them just as it shows right now. Just as you guys are seeing right now, this is the actual configuration file. So Miles, I want you to download that file real quick and then jump inside of Make. And now when you're inside of Make, click create a new scenario. That's going to be that purple button. It's probably at the top right of the screen behind my face. And now that you're inside of the scenario builder, at the top right, you're going to see those little tiny 3 dots, right? You see them right next to the share button. You're going to see 2 options here. You're going to be able to import and export blueprints of a system. Now what we're going to do obviously is going to be import, but if you wanted to download your own system, you can export it through that export button. So now I want you to click the import button and then select the file that I just gave you that you just downloaded. Nope, you're going to click choose file, downloads, .json. All right, there it is. Click open and click save. And look at the magic right after that. Boom. Now you have the entire configuration for the system. You did not have to drag a single module. You didn't have to write a single system prompt. Every single thing is already pre-configured right here. This is what I built. All I did was give you the file and you load it up. And this is, by the way, what I'm going to give all you guys that are watching this video. You're going to be able to download the file and load it inside of your Make. just as Miles did right now. But obviously we're not gonna cheat, right? We're gonna build this from scratch, and I'm gonna show you guys everything that's happening and why it's happening behind the system. So, Mr. Miles, today we are gonna be officially starting out the build for the local AI outreach and deep personalization system that we talked about. And like I promised, I'm gonna go step by step. You guys can literally copy every single thing that I do. And at the end of this, I'm gonna be giving you the actual file system. So technically, you don't even really need to. But if you don't follow along, you're just not gonna know what the hell this thing does. And so with that being said, right, we already talked about we're gonna start with the scraping part. This is how we're gonna be getting the actual information for the local businesses. And we're gonna be using Appify for that. So everything that I'm gonna do right now, you guys are gonna see me do for the first time. We're gonna go to Appify on our testing account. We're gonna sign up. We're gonna do it all right now. So we're gonna go to Appify on that testing account, and we're gonna sign up, and we're gonna configure everything starting from here. So I'm gonna start by going to Google. We're gonna search for Appify. It's gonna be appify.com. It's the very first thing. And right here, this is gonna be that UI that you guys are gonna see with all the different actors inside of it. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna click the Get Started button at the top. This is what's gonna allow us to create our Appify account. And once we do that, we're gonna click Sign Up with Google, just like we've been doing every single thing we've been signed up for, just to make life so much easier. All right, so boom, now we're gonna have to select our account. Obviously, continue with Google. We're gonna select our testing account, that thing we've been literally signing up to everything with. And then you're gonna see a dashboard that looks like this. Now, mind you, you're not gonna see this already. The only reason you're seeing this Google Maps scraper is because I used it before inside of this account just for testing purposes. What you guys are gonna do right here is you're gonna go to the Appify store and you're gonna search for it. 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be at the very front of the dashboard. You guys can see the name is literally called Google Maps Scraper. So if I go to Appify store, you're gonna see this Google Maps Scraper. This is the same one that I use right here. You're just gonna be looking for that, and it's gonna be at the very top. If you can't find it at the top, just search for it right here. It's gonna pop up. So now I'm gonna click into it, and obviously this is gonna be that configuration part. You can see this allows us to extract from thousands of Google Maps locations, businesses, including reviews, reviewer details, images, contact information, full name, emails, job titles, opening hours, prices, and all of that is exportable, and we can run it via API, which again, this is our magic word. This is what we care about, where we can tie this into our AI automation system. We want the API. So let's just take a quick look at how this dashboard looks. Here you have a big old green start button. This is if you wanted to actually start right here manually. You can start it from here. This button doesn't really matter. You're never going to use it. And we can see that we definitely want to use it through API. So I'm going to keep this API right here. And then down here, you have all of your different configuration tabs. The very first one, you're going to have this form view and you have a JSON view. I'm going to explain to you the difference between these two, but they are basically the exact same thing. One of them is just a form that you can literally just fill out and open up just like this. And whatever you fill out here basically ends up being translated and put inside of this JSON view, which is basically code, but we don't have to actually mess with it. We can make changes on the form view, and then we can get those changes immediately inside of here. I'm going to show you guys what that means right now in literally a second. Now, don't let this confuse you. I'm going to show you what this looks like here in a second. Let's scroll down here and see what we have. So take a look at the bottom left, right? We have $5. That's going to be the free $5 that we get. And right now we have $0 used out of that 5. And then you can see we have 8 gigabytes of cloud RAM that we can use. This is just how much power that the actual actor is using in order to do what it needs to do. You don't have to worry about that either. And we can see here that 1,000 searches, 1,000 places cost $4, which means we're going to be able to get more than 1,000 with our $5. We don't even have to pay for Appify. This is going to be way more than enough for what we're trying to use it for. All right, so let's just start filling this out. The very first thing, it's asking us for a search term. What is this? This is what you would normally search for in Google. For example, English breakfast or pet shelter or bar or restaurant or cafe. Obviously, we care about plumbers. So what would go here is plumber. This is common sense. But you have to think about it like this. The word plumber is not the only way to search for plumbers on Google. Now, if you think about it, right, the word plumber is not the only way you can search for plumbers on Google. So what you can actually do is you can add several different search terms right here, and it will take every single one of them and do its own search. And the actor will take every single one of them and do a search based on that search term. So let me show you, for example, right? I just jumped into GPT very quickly and I said, what are other Google search terms for the plumber on Google? You guys can see you have plumbing services, local plumber, plumber near me. All of these are different keyword searches that you can throw into Google. And believe it or not, based on what the websites are using, the actual wording on their sites is what's going to determine what pops up. So all of these are not 100% exactly the same, meaning whatever we throw inside of here is going to be different variations of plumber because we want to get as big of a net as possible, right? We want to capture as many different search terms for plumbers so we can make sure that we have as many plumbers as possible. So our flip right now, I literally just GPT'd this. I'm going to take every single search term and I'm going to just dump it inside of the actor, and we're just going to take them one by one and do this for everything. All right, so what I just did is I took 11 terms that I thought were the most searched, and this is purely assumption, right? I just picked a bunch from here and I tossed it inside of this. 9 times out of 10, this is going to be more than enough from what we're actually trying to do. And let me just show you what happened when I dumped these inside of this form, right? I'm going to switch to this JSON view, right? This code view. And look at this. If I scroll down here, you can see every single term that I threw in was inserted in this JSON view, in this code view that we're going to be using later. So you don't have to change this, or you have to play with this at all. You didn't have to know what this means. But the only thing you need to know is every change you make in the form view is just automatically going to be dumped and created inside of this JSON view. It's as simple as that. So now the next field is going to be location. And if we open up this little question mark, it says define location using free text. Simple formats work. For example, city plus country rather than city plus country plus state. And it gave us an example, right? Chicago, USA. This is going to be the city that we want to scrape all of the plumber's information from. So what city is that going to be for you, Miles?
Farmington, USA. But the only thing is, there's more than one city called Farmington.
So we should do New Mexico, USA. So obviously, because there's more than one Farmington, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to validate what it is we need to throw inside of this. And the best way to do that is by clicking the question mark, and then you can click on this open street map view. So when you open that up, this will give you basically a map that will highlight the thing that you're searching for. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to find the search term that we need to actually get to Farmington for Miles. And so I'm just gonna type in Farmington, USA, and let's see if this works. So let's see, where is this? This is definitely not in New Mexico. Let's do this. Let's do Farmington, New Mexico, USA. Let's see. Is this the correct search term, Miles?
Yes, sir.
Is this the correct area?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like this is very tiny for what it actually is. I mean, I know this is all of Farmington. Actually, no, this is right. This is right. All right, so it looks like Farmington, comma, New Mexico, comma, USA gets us the actual Farmington city search term that we want, which again, this is all of the local businesses in the Farmington area. So I'm going to copy this specific search term and I'm going to jump back into Apify and we're going to throw it inside of here. Now, obviously, it says use simpler formats. They work best, but that does not mean that this format does not work at all. Because again, under the hood, it's using the same specific mechanism that we use right now to find Farmington State in the first place. So the actor is going to be able to see this area, and that's where it's going to be pulling all the information from. So it's how we know that it works. So that's how we know that it works, right? We checked it on the OpenStreetMap verification, and we can see that it's pulling Farmington. So now the next field is asking us the number of places to extract, and this is per search term URL, right? So let's just say, how many search terms do we have? We have 111, and it's telling us this is the number per search term. So if I left this at 10 and we have 11, this tells me that we're going to be getting 121 results out of this search, because obviously 11 times 10 is 121. So let's just go ahead and change this number to 1. Okay, this is just for testing. We just want to make sure that whatever it's pulling is actually working. Later, I'm going to come back and change it to the number that we actually want. And obviously we have more than 1,000, so we have some room to play with here. Scroll down under that, you have the language. We're going to keep that as English. And then the add-ons. What do you have in the add-ons here? These are search filters, okay? And you can choose filters, but you're charged this tiny amount per filter that you're using. For example, you have place categories. If I open this up, you can see accountant, accounting. If I scroll down, these are all different categories that businesses would belong to that Google uses when it's indexing the searches that people are actually searching. And so obviously for our use case, we're gonna try to search for plumber, and here it is, right? Plumber. I'm just going to select it and keep it at that. I'm not going to do anything else after that. We're just going to keep it simple, and then get exact name matches. We don't care about that because we're not looking for a specific business. We're looking to scrape all places as provided by Google. So I'm going to leave that empty. And then minimum star ratings. Look at how fucking cool this is. Let's just say you're building an AI system where you are specifically wanting people that have low reviews because you want to target these people and you want to build them a system that will get their reviews up. You can literally filter for that right here. You can say, you know what? I only want people that start at the 2-star level. And you can say, you know what? I want people that start at the 2-star level. And you're going to get a bunch of listings that will probably have this 2-star review. You can filter them out and then go and talk to them, right? This is super, super fucking helpful. Now, for our use case, we don't really care about this, so I'm just gonna leave this completely open. I'm gonna leave it to all. And then this option right here is telling us, do you want to scrape places with or without a website? Again, think about a system where, you know what? I want places without a website, and I want places that maybe have low star rating. You can use this to go to these people and be like, hey guys, you don't have a website. Here's a website that I can build for you and I can sell for you. Look at the use cases, right? We're not just limited to AI automation. You can use this to scrape businesses that you can go to and actually sell them something based on who they are and what they have. And this is going to make your life so much easier, because back in the day, you'd have to do this manually, bro. You'd have to literally search Google, look business by business and find out if they have a website or not. But now you can just fucking scrape it all within minutes. So for our use case, we only want places with a website, obviously, because we want to make sure that they have a domain, because we want to be able to send them an email. We don't care about the ones without a website. And then under that, you have the option that says skip closed places. I don't care about closed places. They're just going to be costing us extra money. We don't care about them, so I'm going to skip those. And then let's look at this section right under, okay? These are additional add-ons, filters that you can use. We can choose to scrape the detail page, which, by the way, the detail page is something when a business goes and signs up with Google and want to throw their website, they can optionally choose to put a bunch of details about their business on Google. So this allows us to scrape that information and be able to pull it into our system and maybe use it. I don't see a use case for this, so I'm not even going to use it. You can also scrape table reservation provider data. This is if it's a restaurant. This is if it's a restaurant and you want to scrape the table reservation data, like the names, address, email, or phone, and it's only presented in the reserve a table button if they're using Google when they're doing their reservations. We don't care about restaurants, so I'm going to leave this one open. And then this web results one, we also don't care about it either. I've never used this. You don't even need to use it. It's pretty much useless. And then here's another really cool fucking part. You can scrape inside places. Let's say it finds a mall or a big shopping center. If for some fucking reason a plumber existed inside of a mall, if I turn this on, then we will be able to get all of that plumber's information. I don't care about that. I don't think plumbers live inside of malls, but if for some reason the thing that you're targeting may be existing in a mall, you can turn this on. And then number of questions to extract, this is useless. We're not even going to use it at all. So pretty much all of this right here is useless. I'm going to turn it off, and then I'm going to jump back into the next section. Now, what this next section is it'll give you contact information and social media profile information that it can scrape from Google and find about the businesses. This is very, very fucking cool, because look at this. It scrapes the business's websites to then find emails, phone numbers, and social media links related to that business. Technically, we are using another service to do emails because the other one is way, way more reliable. But if for some reason people left their emails out in public and Google knows that that email is related to that business, it will literally give you that information ahead of time without even you having to go and use an email finder or whatever the hell out there. So look at how crazy this is. All of this is scrapable for the touch of one button that we're going to be able to toggle on down here if we wanted to. So you have social media profile enrichment. This will scrape the discovered profiles and gets more details like their follower counts, descriptions, verifications, and this goes for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. So it's not only finding their social media, it will give you statistics about them, right? Let's just say you're building a system that only wants plumbers with this many followers. You can set that right here and you'll be able to get that through the scrape results that this system is getting you. And again, very fucking crazy and cool. Now the question is, do we care about any of this? I personally don't, because I'm not building an AI system that needs their social medias. If you are building a system that for some reason you need to know if any social media exists, you can quickly get that information by toggling this on, but we're going to skip it because we're not using this. Now, this next section is business leads. And this tells you if I find a business, I am going to try to find all the employees that work in that business, and I'm going to try to get you their full name, their work email address, their phone number, their job title, and their LinkedIn profile. Bro, this is crazy. You're literally going to get company data like their industry that they live in, the number of employees that business has. All of this is scraped online through this actor right here. Super, super fucking powerful. This section down here lets you choose the department that these guys will belong in. If you were targeting, for example, specifically somebody in finance or specifically somebody in HR. Again, we don't care about any of this, so I'm not going to be using it. Down here is that review section. We're not going to be using reviews at all. Images, I don't care about. Now, down here, you have a review section. This tells you, okay, if I want reviews newer than this date, you can put a date right here and you can get all the reviews for that date and moving forward. And you can sort them by the newest and you can filter by keyword. None of this really matters to us, so I'm not going to be using this anyways. So I'm going to scroll down here. This section right here tells us if you want to extract images, you can do that. Think about a system where you can pull the images that they posted on their website and use it with some sort of AI system to maybe recreate those images and make them system better, or any kind of thing that involves you taking their images. All of this is scrapable and dumpable inside of your AI system automatically. We don't care about images, so I'm going to jump through this, and then we're going to go to the next section, which is search area by geolocation parameters. This is something we care about, and the reason why is because we are focused on a specific county and a specific city in a specific country. So I'm going to throw those pieces of information inside of here so we can customize the area that we are trying to search inside of, right? We don't want it to go anywhere outside of Farmington. And I know we kind of did this earlier here, but this refines the search and just makes it even better when it's actually going out and doing its job. So country, we're going to use United States, and then the city is going to be Farmington. And then the state is going to be New Mexico. And then the county, it was, what was the county? Do we care about county? Actually, I'm going to leave the county open. I'm just going to leave it as, what's that?
San Juan County.
And then what was the county, right? San Juan County, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to leave it at that. We can even go as deep as specific zip codes if we wanted plumbers only from a specific zip code, but I'm not going to let it go that deep. I just want everybody in this. I'm actually going to remove the county too, just in case for some reason it was limiting other plumbers that maybe exist outside of that county, but do still exist in Farmington, New Mexico. So I'm going to scroll down here, and then we have the last one, which is scrape with Google Maps URL or place IDs. We don't care about any of this. I'm not even going to explain it to you guys because you're not going to be using it at all. I'm going to drop out of this one, and this one also we're not going to be using, so I'm going to drop out of this one. For the most part, these are the only settings you need to fill out, just like this. And now I'm going to scroll up, and I'm going to show you guys the JSON view, and you guys can see every single setting that we threw was inside of here. Look at this. Look at this website section. It says with websites, obviously because we turned on a button that says we only want companies with a website. And all this is just the settings that we chose, okay?
This is pretty cool. You could just totally customize your Appify for literally whatever you want.
And now what we're going to do, we're going to tie Appify inside of make.com. And the way we're going to do that is by clicking create a brand new scenario. That's going to be that purple button at the top right. And here, the very first thing that we're going to be searching for is Appify, just like every other time that we've been doing this. Now you're going to have a bunch of different options right here. And the thing that we want is we want to be able to run an actor. And the thing that we want is potentially different based on what we are trying to do. We have the option to jump inside of here, run the actor from inside of Appify, and once we run it from here, all that information will get dumped right here, which then in that case, we would use watch actor runs because it's just basically going to be watching when that actor runs inside of Appify. Now, if we did not want to do this, if we wanted to actually run the actor inside of make.com, think about if your AI system had a schedule to where maybe every single Sunday at 7 p.m. it should run the actor and do a bunch of stuff to the information that comes in. Well, you're going to be using run an actor instead, right? It's going to be the one down here. Which one do we want to choose? It literally does not matter. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to do run an actor just to show you guys that there is literally no difference at all. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to show you guys both so that way I can show you there's no difference to which one you're using and what it's going to actually look like if you use the watch an actor versus the run an actor. It's basically the exact same thing. There's a tiny difference though. So let's just do the watch actor run. Okay, we're going to say, you know what? We want to run this actor manually inside of here after we just configured it and we're ready to just pull all that information. Well, what are we going to do? We're going to have to create a webhook. This is not the first time you know the term webhook. I explained to you guys this. All this is just an address. It's a super secret address that tells Appify where to send the information so that that information can reach our AI system. So now we're basically going to be doing that, right? We're going to be creating that super long address. And I'm going to click create a webhook. It's going to ask me to name my webhook. I'm just going to name it Miles, right? This name literally doesn't matter. It's for purely organization. Next, it's going to say create a connection. I'm going to click create a connection, and the connection type is going to be just Appify. We're not going to be using an API token. We could technically go inside of Appify and generate an API token, but why would we do that when we can just log in, which is literally that recommended option right here. So I'm going to click on it, and then it's going to ask you to name that connection. I'm just going to name it my Appify Miles. Again, name literally does not matter. Then I'm going to click the purple save button, and next it's going to be asking me to log into my Appify account. You guys can see right now, because I already logged into testing, man, it's going to be an option I can select. But if this is not here, then you just be able to type in your Google credentials and it's going to show you your account. So now I clicked on it. It says, do you want to allow API access with Appify and Make? I'm going to say yes. allow access. And as soon as I do that, that connection is going to be verified. It's going to be created. And I know it works because now I can see the actual settings. So this is perfect, right? We are literally good to go. Now, the first setting that it's asking us is, which actor do you want me to watch? Obviously, we wanted to watch the Google Maps scraper, but let me show you something right here. If I click this drop down, the only reason I can see this Google Maps scraper is because I ran it before. And so if you guys are at this place, you're gonna click this drop down and you're gonna see absolutely nothing. This drop down won't even be here. This is only different for me. And so what you would do at this point, and I need you to follow me, is I need you to go inside of Appify. When you have all these settings filled out, we're gonna click save and start. And then as soon as the actor starts, we're going to click a blue red button that says abort. This is going to stop the actor immediately. But what this does is this initiates the connection, the very, very first connection between the actor and make.com, so that way make.com knows that this actor exists. Because if you don't run it, technically this actor does not exist inside of your account. And so we're gonna have to do a very, very quick test run. I'm gonna click save and start, and you guys can see as soon as it's running, on the top left there's a button that says abort. I'm gonna click abort, and it says actor run was aborted. You can see literally in like the however many seconds that I aborted it, it was able to pull one plumbing business. And you can see that it's pulling the name, it's pulling how many reviews, here's their address, here's their city, here's their state, here is their website. If I open this up, I'm literally on their website, right? We got this in like what, 3 seconds? We can see their phone number right here was scraped, and we can see the URL for the search, and we can see the category is plumber. But this is not the final version of what we care about, right? This is just to make sure that this connection actually exists. So now that I ran this, I get to click the drop down and actually select this actor because, again, we initiated the connection. This should be good to go now. I'm going to click save, and as soon as I click save, you guys can see this is good. This is done. Right now, it is watching for when that actor runs. And if I click show address, this will show us that big old webhook address, the super, super secret one that Appify is going to send that information to when it finishes actually scraping. So now I'm going to click save, and I'm going to test this just for once so that way I can make sure make.com is getting that information when the actor runs. So I'm going to click save down here, and then I'm going to right click and click run this module only. And we can see down here, it says waiting for data. So right now what this is doing is it's waiting for that actor to actually do what it needs to do. Now keep in mind, while this is waiting, there's a timer going. So you don't want to take too long before you can jump back in here and actually run it. You want to run it as soon as you click the start right here, because if it times out, then you're going to have a problem when it sends information and this guy's not listening for it. It's not waiting for it. So I'm going to click stop right here, run it one more time, jump to Appify immediately. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go to actors, open up the actor, and we're going to click start. Obviously, all of our settings saved. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to wait. We don't have to do anything. The actor right now is doing all the scraping in the background. It's going to every single search term that we care about. It's scraping these businesses, and it's going to be populating them right here on this page for us. Once this is done, we're going to jump back into make.com. And when this green checkbox comes up here, this tells us that the actor finished and that make.com received the information that it was looking for from the actor. So you can see it's still running right now. You can see it at the top. And right now, so far, we are at 5 listings. Okay, it's still not done. It's still running. And let me just jump back into make. Now, just so I make sure this timeout doesn't finish while this is running, I'm going to quickly stop it and run it one more time. This is just me restarting that timer so that way we're not falling behind. And then we just wait for this actor to finish and doing what it needs to do. Boom. So we can see it succeeded and it's finished right now. Obviously, we put a very, very low number just because we wanted to test it. Now, if I jump back into make.com, we see that big old green check mark. And look at this, right? We can see in the output, there's a bundle. I'm going to open it up. And what this bundle has is a key that we're going to be using to pull all of that information that we just scraped. Now, what this output has is it doesn't actually have that information. It doesn't have the 6 or 7 different places that we scraped. What it has instead is a key. And this key is going to be something that we're going to use in another module to then pull all of that information into make. So where is that key, right? If you guys scroll down here, you're going to see this default data set. If we scroll down here, you can see under options, you're going to see default dataset ID. This little value right here, this key right next to default dataset ID. This is what we need to pull that information into make. So now that I have this selected, I'm going to copy, right? I'm going to right click, click copy, and then I'm going to click the plus sign. And the next thing that I want is going to be inside of Appify, and I'm going to want something called get dataset items. So what this is going to allow us to do is throw the key inside of it, and when we run it, it's going to pull all of that information immediately, every single one of them. So I'm going to open this up, and the very first thing it's asking for is that dataset ID. So I'm just going to paste it right here. And for these settings, you can just follow what I'm doing right now. Keep this as clean, format, keep it as JSON, and the limit, if you're expecting to scrape more than 1,000, you want to change this, right? But right now we are scraping 5, so the limit being 100 is okay. If I did a scrape job and there was like 2,000 results, definitely want to change this. And you can see that it must be a number between 1 and 100,000. So I'm going to keep this at 100 because obviously we're not going over 100, and I'm going to click save. And as soon as I right click and run the module only by itself, because I pasted that dataset ID, look what we get. We get all of these different bundles inside of the output, and every single bundle is a local business. So I'm going to open up the first bundle, and we can see all of that business's information. We can see the title. Here's their name. We can see their address. It is right here. We can see the street, the city, the zip code, state, United States. Here's their phone number. And look at how crazy this gets, right? If I expand location, you even get the latitude and longitude that these guys exist in. If I expand categories, you can see that they matched for these categories on Google. Look at how fucking deep we scrape, bro. Hotel ads. If there's any hotel ads running here, we're getting them. We're getting their opening hours, bro. If I click on the number 1, we can see that they're open on Monday, 24 hours. On Tuesday, 24 hours. On Wednesday, 24 hours. Bro, we're getting every single piece of information that we can think of that is available. Literally, if gas prices was listed on there, we're going to be able to get the gas prices. And the crazy thing about this is we got that for every single fucking business that was scraped. And you can see we did it in like how many seconds? Bro, literally 45 seconds to a minute. This right here by itself would have taken somebody at least 30 minutes to do out of their day just to find out and gather all of this information. But we just did it all literally within a minute inside of Appify. Can you see this, Miles?
Yeah, it's actually sick.
This is crazy, right?
Full of a bunch of information.
Bro, we just pulled all of them in like a minute. So now to make sure that I don't lose my progress, I'm going to click save right here. And at this point, what I have is I have a module which will watch for the actor runs. And obviously that means we have to jump inside of here and click run on the actor. Now, if I wanted to not use this, let's just say I wanted to use something that will run the actor actually inside of make.com. I'm going to right click, go inside of Appify, and I'm going to search for run an actor, which is going to be this one right here. I'm going to connect it super quickly so I can see the settings. And now that it's connected, I can see all of the settings right here. Now, the very first option, it's asking you to search which actor you want to use. We're going to keep this on recently used actors because when we click the start button real quick, this actor gets saved under our account. And so if we used it recently manually, it's going to be able to show up inside of this list under the drop down for the actors. But if we wanted to use a completely different actor that's from the Appify store, you can do that from here. I don't advise you guys do this. I advise you just go to the actor, run it very quickly, and then abort, and then use it under the recently used actors. So if I click the drop down here, the only actor that shows up is that Google Maps scraper. So cool, we got that. And under it, what is it asking for us? It's asking for input JSON. What this means is, what are the settings of this actor? Here's the beautiful part about Appify is, let's just say there was absolutely nothing here and we wanted to run this actor with the settings that we just configured. Guess where we're going to be getting that information, Mr. Miles? It's asking us for JSON, right? And we have nothing here. Guess what we're going to be getting? The settings for everything that we just configured from this view right here.
Go back to make.
The JSON view, bro. Remember how I told you every single setting that we put here gets translated in this JSON view. So all we have to do now to make sure that whatever in here is what we want is jump inside of this JSON view for Appify, and we're going to copy it all, jump back here and paste it. And that's it. We don't have to do anything. You can see everything we pasted is our settings. So this is telling Make, hey, I want you to run this actor, and here's the settings that I want you to run the actor with, which is everything that we configured inside of that form view. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now that I have this, I have options right here to set a cost per run maximum if I wanted to. Maybe I said, you know what, don't use more than $2. I can put that right here. I'm not going to configure any of this because I don't care about it. So I'm going to click save. And now what happens is if I click run once down here, this actor will be triggered inside of make.com. We don't have to actually jump inside of Apify and click the big start button right here. We can just trigger it from here and it'll do the exact same thing that we just did. Now, one thing I want you guys to look for is when this run an actor thing actually triggers and runs, it will say that it's finished immediately. This being finished means that it just triggered the actor to run, okay? So if I jump inside of Apify and I go to runs, I can see that it's still starting and it's still in the process of scraping. And so if we ran this entire automation, if I were to have clicked the purple button and I said run once, it would have immediately jumped into this guy, and this guy would not have that key, that dataset ID key yet, because this guy has not finished doing his job. You're only going to be able to get that key once this is finished. And so this is a big problem for a lot of people when they connect this for the first time, because they're like, yo, this thing just jumped into the dataset items and I couldn't get all the information. What's wrong? The reason why is because this is not done running yet. And so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to add a sleep module right in between this to basically put the automation to sleep for a specific amount of seconds while this actor is running, right? And so let's just say we expect this actor to be fully done. And so we can see that the last time this ran, it took 1 minute and 12 seconds. If I were to jump inside of Make and configure this sleep tool, which basically tells us how many seconds it's going to delay on this specific module right here. So far, it took 1 minute and 12 seconds. So obviously that is 72 seconds. Just to be safe, I would put 100 seconds right here, and then I would click save. And we can see that this just finished, but obviously that doesn't apply to us because we only ran just this module by itself. We haven't ran the whole thing. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run the entire train to make sure that this is accurate and that it actually is waiting for the amount of seconds that I care about. And the way I'm gonna do that is by clicking this purple run once button and letting it actually run the way that it would have ran by itself without us just running this by itself. So I'm going to click on the run once. I'm going to click on wait on new data. And look what happened here. And you can see that the start of this run and actor is a timer, okay? You can schedule it. You can make it run on specific minute intervals. You can give it specific times of the day or times of the week. Maybe you want to scrape something every Sunday at 6 p.m. Whatever the fuck you want to do, you'd be able to configure that inside of this little time right here. But right now, since we don't care about the time, we want to run it immediately, the entire thing. We're going to click the purple run once button, and you can see that it just triggered the actor. I'm going to jump back inside of Apify. You can see that it started the crawler, and now we just have to wait, right? The duration for how long it's been running is going up right here, and we can see that our make.com system is on the sleep module. Right now, what it's doing is it's waiting 100 seconds before it goes to this specific section.
So when it finishes scraping, it'll just overlap the tools, or will the tools stop and then move on to the next Apify?
So when it finishes scraping, let's just say the scrape took 75 seconds. If we configure this for 100 seconds, then 25 more seconds will pass by before it jumps onto this guy. The reason why is because we literally told it to not move forward unless 100 seconds go by, and those seconds are used by this guy so that way it can finish doing what it needs to do without feeling like it's rushed. So we can see right here, this thing is just finished, took 1 minute and 25 seconds, and the sleep tool is still waiting, which by the way, this is the exact example that I just gave you, right? 1 minute and 25 seconds, 60, 70, 85. So this is running for 15 more. And you can see that the get dataset items module finished, which means it pulled information. Now, as to what that information actually is, let me open it up, and you can see this is the exact information that we pulled in our last test run. And the reason why is because if I open this up, you can see that we're using that old dataset ID, right? This is not the new one. If I open up this guy right here, I can see that there's a brand new key down here. You can see that this key starts with 5M and the old key starts with DM. That is not the same key. So guess what we have to do, Miles? In order to make sure that whatever dataset ID goes here is the one that came out of this module. What do you think we have to do here?
Copy and move it over.
Now, why would this be a problem if we want this system to run by itself without us having to actually open it and copy that key inside of here? What is the one thing that makes AI automation and make.com super special? And the hint, by the way, is right in front of you, right here, bro. This is the hint. What we did right here is we told it every time it runs, it needs to use this dataset ID. But every time we run an actor for the very first time, every single time, it will generate a brand new dataset ID. So these will never be the same, ever. which means the next time this thing runs, we want whatever goes here to go inside of here without us having to actually copy and paste it. And what is the one way for us to do that, Miles? How do we pull information from the previous modules into the new modules in a placeholder field, right? Not the actual information. How do we set the variable?
Default dataset ID.
Exactly. You would drag, aka map, right? Remember the terminology that I taught you? We are mapping the variable inside of here. So we're not just telling it, hey, every time you run, I want you to use this key right here. We want this key to be different every time the automation runs because it's going to generate a brand new different key every time. So we're not going to be able to copy and paste it every time. And the way to replace this key every single time is by mapping the default dataset ID variable inside of here. So now what we did is we put that placeholder where every time this thing runs, it will pull whatever key that was generated from the first one without us having to click copy and paste. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just couldn't remember the terminology. But I didn't remember that with the dataset ID, that it has to be different every single time.
Yep. So I probably should have told you that the dataset ID every time this runs is going to be a brand new different ID. So in order for us to make sure that whatever brand new thing gets generated, it goes in the correct place that it needs to go to, we have to map the variable inside of the field where it belongs. So now that we just mapped it, I'm going to click save. I'm going to save the whole thing and I'm going to run it one more time to make sure that whatever we're pulling is the actual information that was scraped by the system. So now that I ran this, I'm going to jump back into Apify. You can see that it started a brand new crawling session. It's doing it all over again. Normally it's been taking 1 minute and 25 seconds. So we're probably going to cut through in editing and show you when this actually finishes. So you guys can see it finished. I jumped back into make and all 3 of them ran successfully. If I open this one, this should be the brand new information that we pulled, which by the way is going to be the exact same because it ran the exact same search on the exact same parameters. This is all the same thing, but this is the information that was pulled from this dataset ID, not the old one. You guys can see it generated a brand new one. This one starts with A9. So this field right here, this key that starts with A9 is what went inside of this dataset ID because we mapped that variable inside of here. What this is called is a dynamic mapping. It's dynamic because this changes, okay? Dynamic means it changes when the next run happens. And the opposite of that is called static. So if I were to go to this default key right here and I were to copy it and jump back in here and I were to delete this variable and paste it, what I did right now is I statically mapped it inside of here. This is not dynamic. This is not moving. Every time this module runs, it will use this key. And if the data that we want is generated under a whole different key, that's not going to be the data that comes out of this module right here. Does that make sense?
Yes. It's just going to be that same key every single time because it's all you have in there.
Exactly. It's going to be the same key every time because that's all we have in here. So to make sure that the key is actually rotating, we are going to dynamically map that variable in here. We're going to jump back in here. We're going to look for default dataset ID, drag it and drop it. And now this makes sure that every time a brand new key gets generated, that is the key that goes inside of here. So now that I showed you both ways, what we're going to actually end up doing is not running an actor inside of here. And the reason why is because if we're scraping a large amount of data, we have a limit for how long we can actually sleep for, and this is 5 minutes. So let's just say this thing right here takes longer than 5 minutes. Well, our automation would not care about that and would just move on and run this guy right here. And obviously this guy does not have the brand new dataset ID because this guy hasn't finished doing the scrape job. And so what we're going to do instead is we are going to run it manually inside of Apify. And when it finishes running, we're going to take that dataset ID and throw it inside of our automation. This is just going to remove that time constraint completely from our system and make sure that whatever we're scraping is on our time, not the automation's time. So I'm going to disconnect these two. I'm going to swap this out with the watch actors instead. And I'm just going to make sure that it's still pointing to that same actor. It's using it. I'm going to click save. And now we can see that this is linked and it's just watching an actor instead of actually running it. Now, the reason why you see these number ones in yellow is because there's a problem, and this problem exists between these two. Could you guess what this problem is, Miles?
Go to the data set or the data ID.
What do you see here that's different?
Go back to the other one.
Nope, stay here. What do you see here that's different? The problem is right here.
Data transformation. Data transformation.
Nope. So nothing else changed, but this changed. Do you remember back when we had them connected, how it was completely filled out, right? It was filled in. It wasn't clear like this.
Oh, it was black.
It
Yeah.
was completely black. What this means is right now, this guy right here, do you see that there's a number 4 right in front of the word default dataset ID? So this means that whatever information it is expecting comes from the module number 4. And if I go back here, you can see that there's a number next to each module. So what we did is we mapped the default dataset ID from this module and it goes here. Now the problem is this guy is disconnected now. So this guy now is waiting for something to be sent from this guy, but this guy is not part of the automation anymore. This one is. So what we have to do, brother, is we have to open this up and we have to remove this completely and basically remap the brand new dataset ID variable, which comes from this module, and that module's number is number 1. And you can easily tell that because the module number is right next to the module. So let's just say I had 7 different Applefys, right? One after another. The way that I can differentiate between which one is which is through this number right here. So I can see right now this is number 1, and this is all of the information that's coming out of module number 1. And that number 1 is this number 1 right here. So this tells me that whatever I'm looking at here comes from that number 1 module. And I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go back to that number 1 module, and I'm going to look for default dataset ID, and that's this guy right here. So I'm going to drag it and drop it here, and you can see now it's all nice and pretty and colored in, which tells us that this piece of information actually exists and it needs to be there. Now I'm going to click save. This number 1 went away, but this number 1 stayed. And the reason why is because this automation right now thinks that this one is the very first module that it's supposed to start on. And the reason why it thinks that is because wherever this logo exists, it tells the automation this is your very, very first module that you should start on when you run. Obviously, that's a problem because this one is not connected anymore. So what we have to do is we have to drag this logo right here and put it on top of the actual first module that's existing inside of this AI system. So I'm going to drop it here, and you can see that that shit went away completely. And now this one has a number 1 on it, but we don't care about that because this is not part of the system anymore. And now we can see that all of these guys are happy. Usually when we see this number 1, we know that there's a problem, and most of the times that problem could be either that it's misconfigured or that you mapped something incorrectly, right? You have something inside of here that is from a completely different module than what it's expecting. So you have to make sure that everything that you're mapping is part of the assembly line, because if I disconnected this, look what happens now. This guy turned into a yellow one immediately because it needs a prior module to be connected to it, and this guy has a number 1, and if I open up this number 1, it literally tells you what the problem is. Referenced module Applefy is not accessible. That Applefy module that it's talking about is this one. And the reason why it's not accessible, Miles, is because obviously they're not connected. So we have to make sure that these are connected. Now that we connected it, I'm going to exit out, and you can see that it went away immediately. So the lesson here is make sure that whatever that you're throwing as part of the automation is actually connected to the chain, and everything outside of the chain is not going to run at all. So now that I have this, I'm going to click save, and that is the configuration for this section. So Miles, now that we have all of this information that we scraped, the next thing we have to do is we have to put it somewhere where we can open it up and actually view it. And that is going to be Google Sheets. So what I'm going to do right now is open up another Google Sheet. And this is a brand new sheet that we're going to have to create right now on the spot. So I'm just going to give it a quick name. Going to name it Miles Info Dump. Okay, I'm going to leave it as it is. And so now what we have to do is we have to create the titles for our columns. This is where that information is going to get dumped into so we can figure out which column it belongs to. Now, Miles, which information do we care about, right? We have information overload here. We have all this extra shit that we don't really care about. What is it that we care about in order to actually know who the people that we're talking to is, what their phone number is, and everything we need to sell to them? What is that information that we care about? So let's go by one by one, right? You said their title. That's the first one. Title obviously means the name of the company. So I'm going to jump back here and I'm going to name the first column company name. Okay, that's the very first piece of information that we need. Now what we're going to do is we are going to do the same thing for everything that we care about, but we're just going to create a column name for that information, so that way when we dump it inside of Google Sheets, it goes in the correct column for us later to read and understand what the hell we're reading. By the way, these column names is just basically the names of these right here. Okay, that's all it is. So let's just say we wanted the address. We're just going to use the word address because we can see that this is one of the pieces of information that we pulled. I'm going to jump back here. I'm going to type in address, and I'm going to go to the next field. What is the next thing that we care about? Do we care about their street and city and state? Yes. So I'm just going to jump back here and say, you know what? I want their street and I want the city and I want the state and I want the state. So 3 different columns: address, street, city, state. This is just the address separated out. And let's see, what else do we have here, right? We have their website and we have their phone number. So we definitely want their website and we definitely want their phone number. So I'm going to jump back here. I'm going to create a website column and I'm going to create a phone number column. Do we care about zip code? Probably not. Do we care about latitude and longitude? Probably not. Do we care about anything else that shows here? Do we care about the URL or the reviews or any of that shit? No, we're pretty much done at this point. This is all the information that we genuinely care about because this is what we're going to use to contact this business. So now that we have this Google Sheet created with the right columns for the information that we want, we get to now connect Google Sheet inside of this automation. So I'm going to open a plus sign and I'm going to search for Google Sheets. And Miles, I want you to tell me, what do you think is the thing that we're going to be searching for? What are we actually trying to do inside of this Google Sheet? Just based off of us having a bunch of information here and we have a Google Sheet right here. What do you think we need to do inside of this Google Sheet module? You notice how these operations are filtered by category? So do we want to do anything in a specific cell, right? This is one cell right here, one square. Do we want whatever we do to always happen to one square? Automatically, everything inside of cells we don't care about. Do we care about anything sheets-wise? Are we creating a brand new sheet? Are we adding a sheet? Are we copying a sheet? Is the thing that we're trying to do related to a brand new sheet at all? No, it is not. So everything inside of sheets, we don't care about. And the only other column under that is other. We don't want to make an API call. This is not. So obviously by process of elimination, we are in the rows thing. Now say we have 10 rows, okay? 10 rows of information. What do you think we have to do inside of this Google Sheet right here?
Bulk update rows. Advanced.
And this is the wrong choice as well. And I want you to pay attention to the wording. What is the difference between bulk update row and bulk add row? What's the difference? This one adds rows one by one. Okay, this one adds a row one by one. This one updates an existing row and it only updates that one row. Okay, are we constantly updating the same row? Like, let's just say we're dumping a bunch of information in one row and then the next set of information comes in and we're just replacing that old information that we just updated. Is that what we're doing?
No.
That's not what we're doing, right? What that would look like is this. And then the next time we get a brand new set of information, this gets deleted and it becomes something else. Is that what we're doing?
No.
No, this makes absolutely no sense. We're not updating one row. Now,
Add.
are we adding a row for every set of information that we get? Yes, we are 100% adding a brand new row for every business and all of the information that pertains to that business. Now, the difference between this one and this one is this one lets you do multiple rows at the same exact run. You don't have to use this, okay? This one takes a little bit more configuration. What we can do is we can add a brand new row for every single business that we end up scraping. And so I'm going to click this add a row module and it's going to ask me, okay, what is the name of your spreadsheet? If you don't see the configurations, that means you have to connect your Google Sheets. And the way to do that is by clicking this big connect button that you would see right here, or by clicking add, naming your connection, blah, 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 sign in with Google. And then you're just going to select whatever Google account that you have your Google Sheets existing in. Once you do that, it's going to be done. This is not like Gmail, okay? This is way, way simpler. So now that I have my account connected, I am obviously searching inside of my drive. And the only other options is shared with me. Is this Google Sheet something that's shared with me? No, this is something that I created. I'm going to keep this on my drive. And right here, it's asking for the spreadsheet name. We already named this Miles Info Dump. Do you see it at the top left? So this is the name that we're going to be looking for inside of this. We're going to click here to choose a file. And then it's going to load up all the files that are existing inside of our Google Sheets. And look at this. What is this?
Miles Info Dump.
Miles Info Dump. This is the exact same sheet that we have here. Now, notice something. When we clicked on Miles Info Dump, it's going to ask us for a sheet name. Jump down here and you can see that we only have one sheet, right? We don't have multiple sheets. If we had a Google Sheet where there was like 3 or 4 different sheets, and we're dumping information into different sheets based on some sort of thing that we're filtering by, then we would obviously choose a specific sheet that we want to dump into. But we don't have that. We only have one specific sheet. So this doesn't matter to us, right? We're just going to select the sheet that we already have. So now if I go back into Make, I'm going to click on sheet name, and you can see the only name existing is sheet 1, which is where our information is being dumped into. This is sheet 1 right here. This is what you're looking at. This is all of this is sheet 1. So now that I have sheet 1 selected, it's asking us, does the table contain headers? The answer is yes. And what that means is basically, do you have a bunch of titles as headers as the very, very first row? We definitely have titles. We have company name, phone number, address, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So this answer is yes. And now it's telling us use column headers as IDs. We're just going to keep this as no. That's the default. And look at this, Miles. These are the column names that we literally specifically named inside of here. You can see it found company name, phone number, address, street, city, blah, blah, blah. It's all right here. Company name, phone number, address, street, city, state, website, phone number. This is exactly what we wrote down here. And you can see I has absolutely nothing on it. So you can see right now, there's nothing on here. This is the columns that we just created. And what do you think we have to do next, Miles?
We're going to map it.
We are going to map it. That's exactly what we're going to do, bro. We're going to open up company name, and we're going to look for where company name exists right here, which is obviously title, right? So I'm going to drag title, drop it in here, and we're going to do the same exact thing for all the other columns. So I'm going to go to phone number, and the phone number is right here. The address is right here. Street is right here. And then city is right here. Look at this. It's literally as easy as this. We're just mapping all the information so that way when that information goes into Google Sheets, it knows exactly which place it needs to belong to, right? It's going to be for that specific column. So now that we have everything mapped that we care about, what do you think we should do next?
Save.
We're going to click save. And then what do you think we should do after here? Always save, bro. If you see yellow around the big save right here, make sure you press it. You don't want to lose your work, bro. If anything happens, if the electricity goes out, if your computer crashes, whatever the fuck, everything you did is not going to be there. So you have to make sure you click save down here so that way this yellow button is not highlighting yellow. And now what we get to do is we get to test the entire automation from the beginning to end and make sure that it's actually dumping that information inside of here. So I'm going to do it in front of you right now in real time. We're going to click run once, wait for new data, and now it's waiting for that actor to run where? Inside of Appify. Technically, I should have ran this literally like 20 seconds into the Appify run because we don't want that webhook to time out. So I'm going to jump back here. I'm going to click start, and now this actor is running. While this is running, now I'm going to jump back into make.com. I'm literally going to give it like probably 10 more seconds before I click this run once because I want it so that when this finishes, this immediately is listening and it catches that information. So now I just click run once, wait for new data, obviously because we're waiting for new pieces of information to come from this actor right here. And now it is listening, right? It is literally just waiting for the actor to finish its run. You can see that it's running at the top left right here. It's telling us where it's at right now. It's at 42 seconds. Let's just give it about 30 to 40 more seconds and this should be good to go. We can see it actually trigger in real time. We're going to be able to literally see this trigger in real time. And then as it finishes here, we're going to open up the Google Sheet and see if it did its job and put all the information where we mapped it. I just realized I fucked up because we had a sleep module in the middle and technically we don't need that sleep module because now we're running the actor here. So just to make this way quicker so that way we don't have to actually wait 100 seconds when this runs, I removed the sleep module and I'm going to click run once one more time and just run it all over so that way you guys can see a brand new run actually happen the way it is meant to happen instead of the sleep module right here that I just forgot to fucking remove. So now we're running once, waiting for new data, and now it is listening. It's waiting for the actor to finish. And when this finishes, as soon as I see this go green, I'm going to jump into the Google Sheet so we can hopefully catch it, actually dump everything in real time, right? Let's see what happens. So boom, actor just finished. I open this up and look at this, bro. It loaded up one by one every single thing that we just mapped. We have the company names, phone numbers, addresses, street, city, website. You can see this. Look at this section right here. All the websites, bro. If I open this up, boom, brand new company. Open this up, boom, brand new company. Every single thing from the scrape data that we just pulled got dumped into Google Sheets immediately, bro. Now we just verified that everything we're scraping, all the local businesses information is getting dumped inside of here within like 30 seconds of us just running this without us having to do a single thing. This is a very important milestone, bro, because now we have officially set up this scraping part for our AI local outreach system right here. Boom, you can see that, bro. It just did this on its own. We didn't have to do a single thing, man. So Miles, now that we officially tested this on 6 scrape businesses and we verified that it's dumping into the Google Sheet, before I jump into the next part, I'm just gonna give you a very quick checkpoint. I'm gonna ask you a few different questions, and everybody that's following along, you should know the answer to these questions. But if not, let's just go ahead and recalibrate and make sure that we're on the same page about what we're doing and why we're doing it. So first of all, first thing I'm gonna do is, what is this logo right here, Miles? What does this do? What's the purpose of this? Do you remember how I told you in an AI system that you're building and make, wherever this lands is the very first module that runs in the system? So if I took this and I dragged it and put it on here, I just told Make that every time I run this, if I click run once, look what ran. This guy ran, okay? It didn't start where we wanted it, which is right here. So with that being said, wherever this thing exists, that's where the start of the automation is. And you can see there's different types. So on this one, on this module, it says run an actor. This one can only be ran at a schedule. Whereas if you have a webhook, look at the logo, how it's going to change. Boom, it became a bolt icon. So this tells us that this is a webhook. So whatever the actual logo ends up being, it tells you what kind of trigger this is, whether it's a scheduled one or whether it's a webhook. And mainly you're going to have these two types of triggers inside of make.com right here. They're not going to be anything other than usually a webhook or a trigger, because they either trigger themselves or they are triggered by something else externally. Now, if I wanted to run just the module by itself, what do I do?
You disconnect it.
No.
Oh, you click on it and then you just do run this.
Run this module only. And so every time I right click and click run this module only, it will run with whatever settings I have here. Now that I have this opened up, what is the difference between this, what you're seeing right now, and me just typing in here? What's the difference between that?
It's not going to continuously change. The data set is going to stay the same. So if you just put that one in there, it's always going to stay like that regardless. So then whenever you go and scrape a new business, it's not going to change. It's
not going to get the new field. Exactly. And so just to reiterate the terminology so that way you're familiar with it, what this is a static piece of information. And the reason why it's called static is because it doesn't move. It stays the exact same way. It never is going to change. So if I click save right now and we ran this and this module actually ran, it will run with whatever is in here because it is static, right? So if I change this and I come here and I want to put a field that will rotate and change every single time this automation runs based on what the information behind it is, what do I do right here, Miles? So if I don't want to do static, I want it so that way the piece of information is not the same every time, that it changes based on whatever changes happened from the module before it. What would I do to make that happen in here?
The default data ID right there.
And what was the process that we're doing called?
Mapping it?
Mapping, exactly. We are mapping this right here, and what this is called a dynamic variable. The reason why it's called dynamic is because whatever information is behind this, right? You can see that this gray little preview shows you what information is behind this variable. So every time you see this variable, replace it with whatever this is. Mind you, this is just a preview. So the next time we run it, this value changes. It doesn't stay O, G, Q, S, whatever. It's going to create a brand new one. And so if we want that brand new one to replace this every single time it runs with a brand new thing, then we're going to make sure that the variable is mapped here. And this is called a dynamic variable, okay? The reason why it's called dynamic is because it changes, whereas static stays the same, okay? That's the biggest difference between that. And perfect, so that is the correct answer. And now, obviously, if I wanted to run the entire thing, I would click the purple button. And what happens is if it's a webhook, it's gonna be listening for things. So webhooks are triggered from things happening outside of make.com, and whenever that thing happens, that's what's going to trigger it and let it actually run. And you remember me doing that because this triggers when the actor finishes scraping. That's the difference between a webhook and a scheduled trigger. So Miles, let's just say now I wanted to look at the previous runs and what actually happened when it ran. The way that I can do that is by clicking on the scenario, and the very first time you click it, before you actually click inside of it to edit it, you're going to see a right side that says history, and you can see these are the runs. You can see which ones were successful. You can see how long it took. You can see how many operations. You can see if it was triggered manually or if it was triggered by the automation itself. So let's just say I wanted to know what was the last thing that happened when this scenario ran. What I would be able to do, Miles, is I can click on this run and notice what happens when I click. As soon as I click it, it literally loads up as if the automation just now finished. And you can see if I expand, this shows me 6 operations because it dumped 6 different pieces of information inside of our Google Sheet. And this was something that we did after we exited. So the quickest way to look at the history of the runs is by clicking into it. And on the right side, you're going to see all the history and then you can dig into it and figure out what happened. Now, while we're here, bro, I just want to take a look at something. Notice how the address, street, city, and state didn't show up for the last business here. Let's just say I want to find out why that happened, right? And this is a normal part of troubleshooting, okay? This, what I'm about to show you right now, is how you're going to be able to dig into the system and figure out why things happened and how they happened. So I want to figure out why this piece of information didn't dump here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Google Sheets, okay? And obviously I can see that this is the very last row. So most likely this is going to be the very, very last operation. Every single operation is for a specific row because we're adding only one row. So every time a row gets added, that's one operation, and every operation is one business. And we can see that we have 6 of them because we have 6 different businesses. So if I expand the 6th one, I can see what went into it as input. And the output usually is just going to be a success confirmation because all it's doing is adding a row. So let's just look into it and find out what it is that went into this for the 6th operation. And by the way, in the input, you're going to see a bunch of random information that you might not care about, like spreadsheet name, ID, whatever. My best advice for trying to find what you're looking for is every time you see a category like this that you can expand into with a plus sign, open it up. 9 times out of 10, that is where your information is going to live. So you can see in here, values and column, this Google Sheet, this operation got a company name, it got a phone number, it got a website, and it got phone number again because we have the phone number. So it literally just did not receive as input these pieces of information that were missing. Otherwise, I would see address, street, and city, and state. And I can confirm that actually by going to the previous operation, which would be looking at this specific row right here. And then I'm going to dig into that one, open up the plus sign, and I can see that this one did get a street, a city, a state. So here's the difference between operation 5 and operation 6 is the fact that this guy didn't even get it as pieces of information. So this leads me to think, why did it not get it? Obviously, this module is getting its information from the module right before it, meaning that that information needed to have came from this get dataset ID module. So now I'm going to open up this module and I'm going to go to bundle 6 because that's the very last row that I'm investigating, right? And I'm going to see what happened here. I'm going to open this up and let's just see, right? This is the piece of information that came out of the scraper. And we're missing an address. So you can see address is empty. And the reason it did that is because I guarantee you, if I go and search this right here, these guys never put in their address with Google when they were signing up their business with Google. That's 100% what happened because that's the only way this business is able to not have an address that's being pulled from the Google Maps scraper because all this information is coming straight from Google. So this tells me that their address just wasn't thrown in inside of it. So let's just double check that real quick, right? Bulldog Plumbing, and I'm going to say Farmington, right? That's what it is. So here's their website, okay? You guys can see immediately, they don't have a Google card. You know what I mean? That card when you search up something and it shows you like their phone number, their address, all that stuff. The only thing these guys have is a website. So we just confirmed that they never submitted their information to Google. They never registered their business with Google. All of the information that we scraped is purely off of their existence of their website. If this was something that was on Google, then it would look kind of like, let's just say this one, right? We're going to check this guy out and see what these guys look like, right? I'm going to search it up and look at this. This is the card that I'm talking about. When this card shows up right here, this tells us that this website is submitted to Google. And these guys took the time to fill out the address. Obviously, this doesn't exist for our other friend, so we weren't even able to pull the address. And that's probably the same case for the street, city, and state. It's just because they never submitted it to Google. So you see how I was able to quickly figure out why something didn't show up, and I just made sure that it wasn't something broken. The main way to do that is, Miles, is by opening up the output and literally starting at the very, very last one where that output would have mattered. Obviously, if I had like 3 more modules after this, I wouldn't care about that because those modules don't have to deal with the Google Sheet. This is the last stop that I'm investigating because I want to know why these didn't show up. So I'm going to go to the last stop in this automation, which would be this Google Sheet, and then I'm going to expand it, and I'm going to look at the operation that would have happened if this thing did what it needed to do. And then if I see something weird, I'm going to do the same thing to the module before it, and the one before it, and the one before it, and I'm going to keep doing that until I find where things went wrong. This is a core process when you guys are going to be building and troubleshooting AI automation, is you're going to want to know why and how things happen. And the way you do that is by expanding the results and literally taking a look at the output and digging into it and seeing what exists and what doesn't exist and what could have potentially went wrong from the configuration and from the results that are coming out of it, both input and output. Now, let me point something out very, very quickly. When you're building an AI system that starts with a webhook and pieces of information get sent to your AI system, but the webhook wasn't really ready or listening, either because the automation wasn't on or because you didn't run it manually, basically the webhook was turned off. You have to always make sure that the webhook is turned on when information gets sent to it. Otherwise, you are going to see something like this. So this is telling me is, hey, there were 5 records, 5 things sent to your webhook, but because your webhook wasn't turned on, these things never actually processed. They're just in a line, literally waiting, right? So if I open up show queue, I can see that there were 5 different sends to our webhook at different times. And the reason why these are here is because they probably got sent before we had our webhook turned on. So always make sure that whenever you're testing your webhook, make sure that is actually on. Otherwise, the information is going to be waiting in a queue right here. It's not going to be processed. And you can see this because if I expand the details, this is literally all the information that was sent. And obviously this doesn't make sense to you guys because this is coming from the actor. And I can see that because I can already see Appify's name right here, right? I don't need to dig into what all of this is. But the point is make sure that when you guys are doing testing with involving a webhook, make sure that webhook is actually turned on. Otherwise, the next time you run it, it's going to say, do you want to use that existing data that was sent to your webhook that you never processed before? Or do you want to wait for brand new data? Obviously, if we don't care about that information that was sent to it, we're going to wait for new data and boom, now it is listening all over again, right? It cleared out that queue. So let's move on to the next step, right? Let's just say now we have all of that information dumping, right? What is the next logical thing we have to do? As you can see, we have, what's that?
Reach out to the companies.
Not just yet, because part of our AI system is we're going to have an AI go to their websites and do all of that analysis. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing next, okay? We're going to have to do 2 things with the websites that we pulled. The very first one is find all the emails for the employees that work, because we're going to be doing a search on this domain. And the second thing is we have to configure that AI that's going to go to these websites and do a full analysis, so that way it helps us write that personalized message that goes out to them.
So we're going to have an AI go on their their websites and then pull their emails so that we can reach out to them through their email.
So let's look at our roadmap, right? We have Google Maps scraping, and that's the very first step, and that's for Appify. So now what we can do is, because we technically just did this, we are going to mark this as done, okay? The very next step is going to be email discovery. This is going to be us figuring out which emails belong to these guys. This is going to be us finding the employees' emails, so that way we even can reach out to them in the first place. And that's going to be done through Email Finder. So now I'm going to introduce you to Email Finder. I'm going to tell you what it is and how to use it. It is extremely simple. So I'm going to log into the dashboard brand new, and then I'm going to show you guys how to configure this section right here. Now, obviously we can see this is going to be free for 30 days. And after that, it's going to be $14 for 50 emails, because we're going to get 50 credits, and every credit results to an email being found. I'm probably going to create my account and actually activate the 3 days on testing, man. But I'm probably going to end up using my other account, because I have another account that probably has like $900 worth of credits inside of it. And I just have no reason, like I have nothing to use them against. I'm probably going to use that one for the time where we actually need to use an email finder. But right now, since we're not doing that, I'm going to pretend that I'm signing up for the first time. So that way you guys can see the flow of where everything is and how it happens the first time you do it. Also, off the table, right? Completely off the table. This is one of the websites that we just pulled up, like in testing. I just pulled it up as one of my browser. You can see the very first thing on their landing page is a form. So technically, you can sell to these guys a system that every time somebody submits information to this form, it will do exactly what our system that we very first time built together, Miles, that will take all that information and send a personalized response back to them. This is a perfect example, like a real world example for that, bro. This is a random website, and the first thing they want is for customers to fill out this form. So you understanding webhooks and you doing that very first like 4-module system of the auto personalized respondents that we did for our website, literally just open up the door for you to sell that to these guys right now. Because now you can say to them, yo, I see you guys have a form on your landing page. What if I can have an AI that will watch every single submission that gets sent by a customer and do some sort of personalized response, get a bunch of extra information, whatever it may be? This is a perfect real world use case for that. So for an email finder, I'm just going to start with Google and I'm going to go to an email finder. I'm just going to search it up and you're going to see this website right here. It's called anymailfinder.com. I'm going to open it up. And right here on the top right, you're going to see a login button. We're going to click on login. Actually, we're going to click on sign up and we're going to click sign up with Google, just like we've been doing every single time we sign up for something new. I'm going to click on my testing man account, jump down here, continue, and give it all the allows and permissions that it wants. And you can see, boom, immediately it gave us an account. Now this account right here, you guys can see we have 0 credits. This is a brand new thing. So the only way for us to get credits is by starting our 3-day trial, which at this point, if you're using Email Finder for the very first time, you would click this and then you would just continue with this section right here, and then you're going to get your 100 free credits instantly. After 3 days, you're going to be enrolled in the standard plan. You can cancel that obviously before the 3 days, but this is your go-to if you're just now following this. Now, I told you guys I already have an account with a shit ton of credits, so I'm going to switch to that right now, and I'm going to continue the part that we're going to be actually configuring for our system. All right, so boom, I just logged into my account, and you guys can see I have 39,000 credits. How much that is probably more than $1,000. And with me having this many credits, I'm probably going to open up the door for you guys to, you know what I mean? If you're broke as hell and you need some credits, send me a DM. I'll probably be able to figure this out for you and let you use a few. Obviously, I'm not going to use all of them unless I have some crazy campaign running, which I probably will at some point, but that doesn't matter. Look, what the dashboard right here says is we're going to have 2 ways of using it. The very first way is by logging in to an email finder and actually doing it here. And the second way is going to be the way that I've been teaching you guys, which is directly through
API.
Let's go! Yes! The other way is API. Oh shit, I just leaked my API key. Who cares, bro? I'm probably going to rotate it. I'm going to change it later. But anyways, we now, as soon as you go to the API section, you're going to see your API key. And guess what, Miles? We're going to take this API key and we are going to dump it inside of make.com. So now we're going to connect whatever we need to connect. We're going to search for an email finder and you can guess what is the thing that we're trying to do, Miles. What should I select here?
Find a decision maker's email.
We actually want to find all emails. This one is probably going to be the one that we want for local businesses because local businesses don't have that many fucking employees, okay? We don't want to use this in like a fucking 4,000 employee company. Obviously, at that point, we would use a decision maker because if you have a big ass company that has a few thousand or a few hundred employees, then you're going to want to only find the decision makers. But if you're wanting to find all of the emails, that's going to be something that applies to local businesses because they're not that big. So I'm going to click find all emails at a company. And as soon as I click that, you can see it's asking us for company domain, company name, and email type. So company domain, this is just going to be their website. That's all it means. Okay. Domain just means website. So it's going to be asking us, what is that website that you want me to search? Every single thing right here is searchable. And down here, there's a drop down that says email type. It could be any, it could be generic, or do you want their personal ones? I'm going to leave this completely open so that way we can get anything that it finds. So let me just prove to you guys and show you how this actually works. So this right here is my website, okay? This is how businesses in my city used to go and get a hold of me for me to build AI system for them, okay? It is a very simple landing page. It is nothing crazy, but this website right here, what I'm gonna do right now is show you guys how an email finder is gonna use it to find my email. I'm going to go to the URL right here, which is the domain, and then I'm going to copy it, all right? I'm going to jump back into here, and then I'm going to statically paste it inside of the module, okay? We're not dynamically doing it yet because we're just testing only for this website, the pure.ai. I'm going to click save now, okay? And I'm going to right click and I'm going to click run this module only. Now watch what happens when I click run this module. So right now it's doing its search. It just finished and it came out successful. And if I open up the output, you can see there's an expandable category that says emails, right? And if I open this up, boom, here's my email. An email finder was able to find my professional email just by me giving it my website. So this is the power of an email finder, right? You're going to be able to feed it all of those websites that we just found dynamically, one by one, because we're going to be mapping the variable. And then we're going to get a huge list that shows you all of the emails of the employees that work there. Now, mind you, you have two different sections here. You have emails it found, and then you have a section that says valid emails. If it's under valid emails, that means this email is 100% being used, verified, and is active. So this is your bingo card, okay? You might potentially find emails here, but if they don't show up here, that tells you this email is a hit or miss. It might exist, but they might not be using it. So the emails that you really care about is the valid emails, which are going to be expanded under this valid emails section. Does that make sense, Miles?
Yeah.
So now at this point, we just configured an email finder. What do we have to do? We have to remove this static thing and we have to feed it all of the websites. How do you think we're going to be able to do that here, Miles? So the first question I'm going to ask you is which module is outputting their websites out of the train that we just built so far?
The Google Sheets.
No, the Google Sheets is a destination for the websites to be dumped into. That's not where the source, that's not where the websites are actually coming from. Where's the source that the websites are actually coming from?
So why wouldn't we put an email finder in front of the Google Sheets?
The reason why is because it literally doesn't matter, bro. I could technically put an email finder here and then dump all the information and it would do the exact same thing. It genuinely does not matter. Like this is just the order that it happened to be because that's just the order that we built it in. So if I switch these, it would not change a single thing. The information would still get dumped here and we still have the module that is outputting the website, which is still going to be inserted here. Now here's where it matters, Miles. Let's just say I took an email finder and I decided I'm going to throw it in between these two. Does this work, Miles? Let me know right now.
No.
Why does that not work?
Because you're gonna have to use the second Appify, the one in that one, to put in to web in the
to map
company email, to map the company email.
Exactly, bro. That's a beautiful point. Every module can only pull the information from the module before it, right? So if I open this up and I just clicked on company domain, you're gonna see the only thing that is selectable is the first module. That's it. That's the only option I have. I can't see anything ahead because these ones don't even exist yet in the eyes of this module. So you want to make sure that the order that you're putting things in makes sense to when that information actually exists in your automation inside of Make. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to map it. It just won't exist, bro. So now that I switched these two, you know what? I did throw an email finder instead of Google Sheets. So I now should be able to theoretically map things from the previous modules. And let me show you something. If I click this, why did this not update, Miles? Why do I still only see the first module? I don't even see the second one. Why do you think that is?
You didn't save it?
Oh, you know what? Let me save it. Boom, I just saved it. And I opened it up. And I still, oh shit.
Save it.
Nope.
Yeah.
So the reason why, so you were right, bro. The reason why is because I didn't save it. And I just saved it, opened it up, and here it is. Here's the second module, and here's the first one. Now I can see both of them. So what do you think we have to do inside of this box right here?
Map the website.
We are going to be mapping the website because an email finder needs a website to pull the information from it, right? So we're going to click save.
Would you fill out all the other information like company name?
You notice there's not a required asterisk next to them. And because there's not a required asterisk, that tells me these are optional. So I don't need to fill out company name. I don't need to fill out email type. If I wanted to specifically only pull generic emails, right? Let's just say a company has one email that's like support@companyname.com and they have 6 other emails that belong to actual people. And I don't want the 6 ones that belong to people. I only want the support@blah, blah, blah.com. Then I can do this. And then that will only pull that generic email. And by the way, this is one of the paths. Remember, I said that our automation is going to treat this differently because when it writes the personalized message, it's going to be directing it to team instead of a person's first name. That's literally the second path. So I don't want just these. I don't want just personal ones. I want any because I'm going to be able to use both of them based on what they are. I don't have to use company names, so I'm going to leave this okay. So now, Miles, we have a module that is outputting people's emails from their website. What do you think we need to do next? I'm going to open up my Google Sheet right now. Do we have that information here in our Google Sheet?
No, you're going to have to add email into I.
We're going to have to add email. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we are going to add the word email. All right, so we're throwing the word email here. Now, we got a little tiny situation, Miles. What if the company has more than one email? Okay, we're obviously not going to be able to put all of those emails in one cell. It would be a lot cleaner if we had like email 1 and then email 2, right? Email 3. And we can quickly look at the row and see all the emails on their own separate cells that belong to this company. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? Wouldn't you agree this would be a lot cleaner? But so far, we haven't done a test where the output of the email finder gave us more than one email. So I wonder what that even looks like, right? I wonder what this is going to look like if we had more than one email. So what I'm going to do right now is just randomly test any of these to see if any of them have more than one email. And then from there, I'm going to see what email finder actually gives us when there's multiple emails. So I'm going to come down here and then I'm going to remove this just temporarily. I'm going to make it static and then I'm going to click save. Then I'm going to run once by itself. And let's just see, right? How many emails here? Okay, so we can see valid emails with an S, meaning there's more than one. And boom, look at this. We got 9. We got 9 emails just for this specific domain right here. And we can see also their first and last name. So this guy like Terry Lawson, we have Jennifer S, we have Jay Payne, we have Mark, all these different people. Here's all their emails. And we can see that some of them have their first name and last name in there. Some of them have only their first name, which means the majority of this is going to get a personalized message to them because the AI is going to look at these emails and find out that Terry is probably the owner of this email. So we're going to be directing our message to Terry.
Well, what if it's like an enterprise? Because I know Roto-Rooter is like a big corporation. You know what I mean?
How big is it?
Pretty damn big. Like there's a Roto-Rooter in almost every big city in the United States. You know what I mean?
That's actually a good question. I've thought about it.
Look up Roto-Rooter.
No, I believe you because I see them here in our city.
Yeah.
I think there's probably some sort of limitation to how many you're gonna be able to get out of an email finder. Because obviously, like if we just throw in McDonald's.com, it's not gonna give us like all fucking 5,000 emails for everybody in there. But I guarantee you, it's probably gonna give you a few that are usable, which is gonna be the ones that it verifies and knows that it's valid, belonging to Roto-Rooter. Now, we don't really have configuration as to exactly how many we're going to be able to pull from an email finder. The job for this is just to find valid ones until a point where it thinks this is enough for what you need. So I actually don't know. I think I'm probably going to jump into an email finder documentation and search this. I'm literally like at this point, you just asked me a question I'm not 100% sure of. I'm going to search for it. I'm going to go inside of, let me do this.
We asked ChatGPT.
So let's just quickly search for it because I genuinely don't know. Like that's a good question. So I'm gonna jump back here and I'm gonna say, actually before I do that, I'm gonna go and find any mail finders documentation. Remember, because obviously if this information exists, it's probably gonna exist inside of the documentation, and I hope that they have some sort of documentation. So let's just see. Email finder API, email search and lookup. Email finder API docs. So this is probably what we're looking for right here. Okay, so this is it. This is their documentation. We can see all the different parts of the API that they have here. I'm gonna copy this documentation. I'm gonna jump back into GPT. I'm gonna say, look through this documentation and do your own research about email finders. What was the thing that we used with it? It was find all emails at a company API endpoint. I'm going to say, I would like to know what happens if I give it a domain where there are a few hundred employees. Do I get all of them or only a few? And I'm going to add a little bit more content and say currently using within make.com. Let's see what happens. I actually don't know. So I just sent this through. I'm going to let it think and do its own research. It's going to look at the API documentation, and it's going to look specifically for the find all emails at a company API endpoint, right? So the reason why I used endpoint is that module outside of it being a module is just an endpoint. That's what it's called. And so right now it says, okay, if you're using email finders API endpoint on Make, you do not get all employees when you pass a domain. You get up to 20 emails max. Okay, so here's the answer to your question. This is gonna return only up to 20 email addresses. There's no offset parameters documented for this endpoint. It's designed as give me a sample list, not a full directory dump. That's what it is. So it's only gonna give you a small list of what it found based on the thing that you're dumping into, which actually makes a lot more sense because, you know, Roto-Rooter is a much bigger company, but we got 9 valid emails here. And it's thinking, you know what? If you're going to be contacting them, you're not going to be contacting every single one of them. So I'm just going to give you the ones that I think you should probably contact so I'm just going to give you a list of ones that are usable for your use case, which is probably what happened here. Good question, though. Actually, I never thought about that. So every time I ran this, though, I only used the output that came out of it. I never really wanted a few hundred from an email finder. So I never really crossed my mind. So now knowing what we know, that we can get up to 9, theoretically, what we would do at this point is we would map each of these into each of these columns, right, Miles?
Yes.
But you are going to see your very, very first problem right now trying to do it. Let me show you what this problem actually looks like in real time. I'm going to close out of the valid email ones. And you know what? Since we ran this now, I'm going to go to Google Sheet, and I just added I and J. So you can see I, J, and K actually, but this is not fully refreshed yet. So we don't see the actual column name. So I'm just gonna refresh this sheet right now. And the way I do that is by going to this refresh button. And as soon as I click it, I'm gonna scroll down and I should see, okay, so here's the new ones, right? Email 1, email 2, email 3. Let's say I wanted to map only the very, very first email inside of this box. What do you think I would normally do here, Miles?
You would normally map.
So walk me through it, literally. Tell me what to click and what to do.
Open up emails.
Open up emails.
And then open up valid emails.
Open up valid emails. What's the problem here?
It's not giving you all of the emails.
It's not giving you all of the emails. That's what it looks like. Technically, it actually is giving you every single email, but you can only see the preview of one of them. And the reason why is because all of these emails are bundled together in a package. They are not their own individual entity. So I can't work with just the first email and just the 4th email. Think about it like they are all in an Amazon box, and you can only work with that box. We haven't yet opened the box and actually picked out what we want to work with from inside the box. This is what you're seeing right now. And the reason you can tell that, Miles, is because what this is, if I just hover over it, do you see the word array?
Yeah, it put all the emails in array. So
that is a very important keyword as to what this is. And this is actually going to lead us to the next part of me explaining to you what is an array and how you are going to be able to work with specific pieces of information that are handed to you in this box situation, right? You're not going to be able to work with the 4th email specifically because they're all in a box right now. So I'm going to show you how are we going to unpack this box and what is an array. This next part is super, super important because you're going to run into this a shit ton of times when you're building AI automation. So me explaining this to you right now is very, very important. And that's going to be the next thing I'm going to explain to you.
So if you map either one of those emails, are all of them just going to show up bunched together in email 1?
That is a great question. Let's try it. Let's map this guy right here inside of here. Okay. We just mapped the list. And now I'm going to click save. Now here's the thing when you are dealing with this box or this array. So now we map the box, right? We map the array. We're going to want to run this module only by itself, right, Miles? I'm going to click run this module only. And because we have variables inside of here, we don't have static information. It's going to ask us for random sample shit, right? We're just going to throw in whatever. None of this matters. We're just doing a test. Now, here's the part where we are adding things in that box, right? Valid emails. We have no items. We're going to add 2 of them. Let's just pretend we have 2 emails. It's going to be miles@gmail.com. and the next one is going to be anmar@gmail.com, right? So now what we did is we added 2 items to that box, and we're going to simulate what would happen if we ran this box right now. So I'm going to click OK, and we can see that it just finished running. So now I'm going to open up Google Sheets, and look what happens. This is what it looks like, bro. Do you see that? Both of these emails that I just threw in, by the way, it extends to the other columns, but they all actually are existing in the first cell right here, in email 1. They don't exist in the second one. So do you see why this is ugly?
Yes.
This looks disgusting. Technically, you would have all of them, but they would look like this. So what we have to do is we have to clean this up a little bit. And the part that I'm going to explain to you next is exactly how you're going to be able to clean up and work with specific items that are given to you in a big package, in a big list, in a box, in an array. That is the actual term for it. It's an array. So let me show you how that works. Now here's where shit gets fun, right? Obviously, every step is gonna pass information to the next step, but that information might not be always formatted the way that that next module is expecting. And this is where we're gonna use something called a function. This is where functions come in, okay? This is a brand new term. Now I'm gonna explain to you what is a make.com function. So what is a function, right? A function in Make, all this is a tiny built-in helper tool that is going to let you adjust data before sending it to the next step. It's going to let you play with those pieces of information. So think about it like this, right? You order a pizza, and this pizza comes in, and you don't want olives on the pizza, okay? You want to remove the olives. You're not going to throw away the whole pizza to do that, right? You want something that just removes the olives. So a function in this example is something that we use to only remove just the olives because we want to work with specific things that are in the big package. Does that make sense? Now, why do we even need functions, right? It's the reason why is because apps don't always talk to each other perfectly in the same language. Think about it like this. One app gives you a list, but the next module after it is only asking for one specific thing. It doesn't want a list. Maybe one of them gives you a messy output and the other one expects something a little bit cleaner. They're not on the same wavelength, right? The output of one of them is not usable as input of the next module. So if you don't fix it, your automation is either gonna break or it's gonna completely send the wrong thing, the ugly thing like I just showed you, or you're gonna get an error or it's just gonna fail. So in order for us to avoid all of this and make sure that the two modules that are talking to each other are speaking the same language, we are going to use a make.com function. That's how we're going to be able to prevent this problem right here. So once again, very, very quickly, it is just a tiny helper tool that lets you adjust pieces of information before it goes to the next module. It's kind of like removing olives from just the pizza because the pizza would be the package and the olives would be the little pieces of things that we want to work with. So a function would help us remove the olives from that pizza. And we need it because some modules don't speak the same language. Think about a Gmail module where it's only asking you for one email, whereas another module gives you a list of emails. You cannot map a list of emails inside of the Gmail module because it's only expecting one of them. So that's a common problem. One of them gave you a list, but the other one gives you one item. And if you don't fix it, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have a bunch of fucking errors. So in our Email Finder example, right, this is our real example. We run an Email Finder, and instead of getting one email, we are getting 4, okay? We're getting the CEO, we're getting marketing, we're getting sales, we're getting support, and all these different emails that we don't really fucking care about, nor do we want to all use in the same exact module. We want to use just one of them or maybe another one. Now, we want to use the Gmail module, okay? The Gmail module is only asking for one of these. It doesn't hold a box that's asking for 4 of them. So make is going to be seeing the thing that comes out of an Email Finder as one variable. It's not going to be 4 different variables. It's only going to be one variable which contains a list. Does that make sense, Miles?
Yeah.
Because those emails are packaged together from an Email Finder, Make is going to see them all as one variable, not 4 different variables like what we want it to be. It's going to be a one variable, which is a list. And that list is called an array. So what is an array in super simple terms? It's just a list of items in order. It's like a grocery list, right? Milk, egg, bread, cheese. It's the same exact concept. It's just a list. Now here's the problem, right? The next module is Gmail, and the to field is expecting one email, but you have a list of 4. So if you try to shove all 4 of them it's going to have an error. It's going to have a mismatch. It's just going to break. It's just your Gmail module is not going to work. The reason why is because Gmail expects one email. So now you have this mismatch. And this is exactly why functions exist. It's to fix things like this. And what we're going to be actually using is the get function. That's going to be the one that I'm going to be walking you guys through. There's a bunch of different functions and each of them does a specific job. But the get function, its main job is to literally go into the list and grab a specific item that we want. It's going to open up that Amazon package and only pull the one thing that we want, right? It's literally going to reach into it and pull that thing out for us. And this really matters because it's about control. If you don't control the data and what's happening in your AI automation, you are going to have a lot more errors. You're not going to be sending the right piece of information, and you're going to break your AI system before it actually gets used. Which means this thing helps us turn chaos into precision. We have a chaotic list, and we are precisely picking one of them. So that's the entire concept of what a function is in Make. And right now we're gonna use the get function. I'm gonna show you guys how it works, but keep in mind, I'm gonna probably have to go through another video and explain every single function in Make because there's so many different functions and every single one of them is its own tiny little tool. It's its own tiny little helper that will do what you want it to do. So now let me show you how to use the get function. I'm just gonna demo it right in front of you. Let's just say we want the very first email in a list of 9 emails to go into email 1. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this, and at the very, very top, there's going to be a tab. It's called General Functions, okay? I'm going to open this up, and you're going to see a list of functions right here. And the one that we want is going to be get, because we're getting something from the list. Now, you can see when I hover over it, it shows us an example of how to use this function and what it does. So I'm going to take a quick picture of this. So I just took a quick picture of this and let me explain to you what this means, okay? This is just an example telling you what you should be typing in the space that is existing inside of the function. So you can see the function itself looks something like this. It starts with get, and then there is an open parenthesis because we can see that right here. And then there is some sort of thing in the middle, which is where this array thing is. It's something that goes here, right between this parenthesis. And then we have a semicolon. And then right after the semicolon, we have another space to insert some sort of information. So I'm going to put that space right here. And then it closes off with another parenthesis, right? It closes the parentheses. So technically, this right here, what you're seeing, this is the get function. And I want you to understand and note that everything that goes in between the punctuation is going to be the things that the function works with. This is the actual data that the functions work with. So let me just break this down right now. What you're seeing right here, this is an example. And what this tells the function is I want you to get something. Remember, we are getting an item from a list. And the next thing it's telling it, I want you to get that something from this array. Again, the array is the list of emails. So this function so far says, I want you to get me something from this list, and the thing after it, what goes here, ignore this plus sign, by the way, terrible example, but this is the order of where that thing actually lives in the list. So let's just say this was our array, right? This is what gets filled in to this variable right here. Obviously, the array is a variable, and when this actually gets replaced, it's gonna get replaced with the list. So if I did something like this, where I took an array and I was like, you know what, hey, I want you to get me something from this array that I mapped into it. And Miles, which email do we want from this list, right? We have a list. We want specific email. Which one do you want?
I want justjf@gmail.com.
Just J what?
I want justjf@gmail.com.
So we want just this one. What we would put here is the order that it exists in the list, which would mean this has a 3 in it. That's it. That is literally all it is. The function says, get me a specific item, and I want you to get it from this list, and here's the order where that item exists. That's literally it. So let's just actually put this into practice and show you what it looks like inside of Make. I'm going to open up the get function. You can see it already comes pre-filled with 2 spaces that you should fill out. You can see there's one right here, and you can see there's one right here. So what do you think should go here on this very, very first space, Miles? Remember our example, okay? And we're literally looking at this example from their example. It tells you what you should do. So what do you think we should do based off of that example? What goes inside of here?
Array?
It's
Or
asking
no?
it's asking for the array. What is the array in our situation? Remember, the array is just the list of emails. Where is that? Where's that list of emails
So
here?
emails or valid emails, right?
This one, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So we're taking this variable, which is an array, and I know it's an array because if I hover over it, it tells me right there on the left side it's an array. So I'm taking this array and I'm putting it right here. So I just threw the array here. Now, in this array we have 9 emails. Which one do you specifically want out of the 9?
First one.
No, that's too easy. That's just the very first one. Let's pick the 6th one. Let's just say we want the 6th one out of this 9. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to click save, okay? And then I'm going to test this to make sure that it's actually getting me the 6th one. The way I'm going to test it is by disconnecting the automation right here. And then I'm going to take this logo, which tells make.com which one is the very first trigger, and I'm going to drag it on an email finder. So now what happens when I click run once is it will run here and then jump into here. And let me just make sure we're still on Roto-Rooter. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is just make sure all of this is good. Cool. Let's just run once, and I'm going to open up this module right here. And let me just delete all of this information. Obviously, this is just the last test run that we did because we're going to do a brand new one. And then we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to click run once. Now, before I run it, you see there is a yellow number 1, okay? Which means if I wanted to run it, it's probably going to throw out an error. And the error is, if I open this up, you can see all of those pieces of information that it's expecting now are not filled in. And the reason why they're not filled in, I explained to you earlier, is because we disconnected the thing that they're expecting, right? They're expecting information from module 2. And module 2 is now not connected because we disconnected it right here. So we're going to have to do, Miles, just for this test, what do you think we should do? Just for this like quick test.
Put in some random email.
No.
Or no, some random.
We want to be able to test this without having to go through and statically manually put information into each of these boxes. What do you think we should do?
Just pull one random website.
Where?
Let's pure AI.
But that website doesn't have a list. We want to simulate what would happen if we have a list. Remember, we created a function, right? And we're saying, hey, I want you to get specific thing from an array, and here's the order that it actually lives in that list. So now we want to test this. We want to make sure that this works, which means we need a list of at least more than 6. And so far we have 9 from Roto-Rooter. So how do we test Roto-Rooter with this? Right now we have Roto-Rooter static in here, which means when this guy runs, it's going to be 9 emails in an array. So we're going to feed those 9 emails in an array here. But here is going to have a problem because this is not fully configured. We're going to right click and we are going to clone. We're going to create an exact clone of the thing that we are using, and we're going to attach the clone, and in this clone, I'm going to delete all of this shit. I don't care about it, right? Because it's just a clone. So now I'm going to click save, and what happens is when I run this guy is going to run against Roto-Rooter statically, and it's going to pull those 9 emails, and this, because there's nothing here, it's not going to ask us for anything. It's only going to be doing this thing, which is the thing that we're testing, which is going to be the array and the function. So all I did right now is just cloned it, and I did whatever I want to fuck around with on the one that I'm going to be throwing away. But this is just for the testing purposes. I'm not going to click save. I don't want this to save. So I'm going to click run once, and we're going to jump back in here and see if it actually worked, if we only got 1 email. So boom, here's that run. We can see the first one done, second one is done. Jump back into Google Sheets, and look at that. We only got Sharon. We didn't get that ugly little thing that we saw last time, and we did not get 2 of them. We only got Sharon, which means at this point, let me make sure that Sharon is the 6th out of the list. How am I going to be able to do that? I'm going to click on the output, click on valid emails, and what's number 6?
My girl Sharon.
My girl Sharon. This just told me that the function that we just used worked perfectly. So now, Miles, what we have to do is, since we are using email 1, we're going to change this number to 1. And then we're going to copy this entire function and just paste it under this one and change this number from number 1 to 2 because we want the second one. Does that make sense why we did this and how we're doing it?
Yes.
So now we have a function that's pulling only specific things from the list, and we're telling it what's the order of that thing in the list, and we're just doing that for every single email and where it belongs in our Google Sheet. That's all we're doing right now. So I'm gonna undo this. I'm gonna unlink this guy, put this guy back here, and then I'm gonna do those changes to this one, obviously, because this one is gonna be the main one that we want this done with. So I'm gonna connect these. I'm just gonna fill this out, and hopefully we can skip to the part where this is all done.
Would you do 20 since it already goes up to 20?
I don't think we will even use 20. Why would I go up to 20 if we're not going to use 20? We're only going to be using 1 or 2, maybe 2.
What if you come across a company that has 20 emails?
Well, Roto-Rooter should have 20, right?
Yeah,
Why did we not get 20 out of this guy?
because it only pulled the valid emails.
Not even that, but I think the way that it works in the background is not something we have control over. You can see we have to dig into the documentation and figure out it's telling us up to 20. Now, whether something happens and it gives us only 11 or 10 or 7, that's not something we can control. That is fully on the API side. And I know that I am just going to use up until 6. I have no use case for anything more than 6. If I wanted to, for some reason, actually pull 300 emails from one specific company, I would not use this method. I would find something totally different. Maybe I would log into an email finder and see if there's an option where I can do that, right? I can pull more than 20. Obviously, the 20 limitation only applies because we're using it through API miles. That 20 limitation may not even exist if we just logged into an email finder and used it in its dashboard. This limitation only exists because we're using it through the API. So I just finished doing 7 of them, okay? I'm gonna click save, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reconnect these so that way this guy stops crying, and then I'm gonna save the entire scenario. So now I'm gonna open this up, and we can see all of this is filled in. It's all pretty, and all of this is now also filled in, and it's also pretty. I'm not even going to bother with testing this because we just tested it right now, and we could see that it successfully pulled one. So the next time we do a run, this whole thing should get filled out with a bunch of emails, which is perfect.
Should we name those ones up there? Email 4, 5, 6, 7.
You could name them, but we already mapped them here. And if we know that these are just going to have emails, naming them is literally just a waste of time. I could just do this and it will not change a single thing. All I'll be doing right now is just wasting time. That's all. But I mean, for organization purposes, absolutely do it. I just don't care because I know what those fields are going to be. And because I just made those changes, by the way, I'm going to open up Google Sheets and then I'm going to click refresh right here because we always want to make sure we refresh the module so these changes actually apply. You can see that, right? Email 7 is now here. Email 6 is now here. We can see all the changes happen. So now we're going to click save, and then we're going to save the automation here, and we are good. Now we're pulling emails, and now we are good on the email part.